Hello, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be doing a Q&A while I fix and alter some of my clothes. I have a few things here that need some mending and a skirt that needs altering. I asked my followers on Instagram to ask me some questions for this Q&A, so let's just get right into this. Alright, so while I answer some of these questions, I'm going to be fixing the hem of these pants. The seam at the bottom started to come apart a little, and the hem is just doing some weird things, so I'm going to fix that. So the first question is, who is your biggest inspiration? That is a very difficult question. I do really like Rachel Maxey. She is one of the people who inspired me to start my YouTube channel. Also, my dad is a huge inspiration for me because he does a lot of cool stuff. He's an author and a musician, and really love him. But yeah, I guess that kind of depends on inspiration for what, you know? Because inspiration for sewing, probably like Bernadette Banner, because she does everything very thoroughly, which I appreciate. The next question is, if you had a choice, would you rather live in the city or the countryside? Countryside, right off the bat. I hate big cities. I am a homebody. I like being by myself, and I love nature, so most definitely the countryside. Right now, I live in sort of an in-between of the city and the countryside. Technically, where I live, it's still called a village, but it's technically not a village anymore. It is now a town because our population has increased quite a lot over the past couple years. I am just doing an invisible stitch down this torn seam. I have worn these pants to death. They are, I'm pretty sure, they're my only pair of pants actually. Next question is, what is your favorite project so far, and what is your dream project for the future? What is my favorite project? Probably at the moment, my Elvish cloak. I really love that. I haven't gotten to wear it as much as I would like, but it's incredibly comfortable, and it turned out pretty much exactly like I had it in my head. It's wonderful when sewing projects come out that way. What is my dream project for the future? I actually kind of have a few. One that I've actually been wanting to do for a while, and I actually am finally getting around to, is from my last video, the Elvish wardrobe project thing. That's going to be a little series of videos where I create what the elves would wear if they were real. So that, for one, I am incredibly excited to do that. Also, my graduation dress, which I am also getting ready to make pretty soon here. I have the materials for it, I have the design drawn for it. Of course, at this point, because of Corona and everything, there's not really a graduation ceremony that I'm going to, especially because now I've switched to an online schooling program, so I don't even know if they usually have a graduation ceremony regardless of the pandemic. Whatever the case, I'm gonna make the dress, and I'm incredibly excited for that. It's definitely very 1950s inspired with a little bit of 1930s influence. Right now I'm just re-sewing the hem on these pants because it was kind of falling apart. Next question, how long have you been painting and how are you so amazing at it? First of all, thank you. I have a few of my paintings on Instagram. I post them on my story and occasionally make actual posts about them. I have been painting as long as I could hold a paintbrush, like forever. My grandparents are professional painters, and my mom really loves art, so I've kind of just always been painting. So I guess like 15 years since I was 2 years old. Please let me know if you guys would be interested in any sort of painting videos, like, I don't know, like a time lapse or something of me doing some of my paintings. Alrighty, I'm just tying off this pant leg. Now I'm also going to do a little bit of finagling with the second pant leg because it's also not doing so great. Alright, next question. You get dropped into Middle Earth. You have no idea where you are and you only have what you are currently holding and wearing. What do you do? So I'm wearing this outfit and holding my phone and a needle, I guess. Well, first of all, because I have read Lord of the Rings, I kind of know a little bit of what the different areas in Middle Earth look like, so I'd try and sort of guess at least sort of what realm I'm in. Then I would take a look at the sun and see which way is west, which way is east, and I think that from there I could probably figure out how to get to a nearby town of some kind. For example, if I'm in like a dark, slightly creepy kind of forest, I think I could assume that I am in Mirkwood Forest, for example. And then I would try walking east to get out of Mirkwood Forest so that I could sort of see where exactly I was, if I was in the middle or the northern or southern end. And I'm pretty sure that from there I could find the Elven King's Hall. Of course, it would be more difficult or more easy depending on where I think I've ended up. So yeah, interesting and very nerdy question. I like it. Just a moment, I need to use the powder room. Next question is, who are your style icons / style inspiration? So at this point, I'm basically just a broken record on this. I really love the 1951 Disney Alice in Wonderland. So much of the aesthetic from that, like all the teapots and everything, and the tablecloth at the Mad Tea Party, everything is like pink and blue, and I love that. And then also just Alice herself, what she's wearing, really love that. However, I don't think I've really ever seen anyone whose style is really similar to mine. So I have Alice in Wonderland as my sort of aesthetic that I base my color theme off of. So other than that, there isn't really anybody who I would count as like my style icon. I just kind of create my own style. And of course my style is a little bit different depending on the day. I kind of have two main style categories. So first, of course, is this style, the pink, the blue, 1950s vibes. And then my second style is, of course, that sort of Middle-earth fantasy look. So I mean, I guess if you just want to count Legolas as a style inspiration, that works. Or not even specifically Legolas, just like basically any elf in Lord of the Rings. Next question is, what is your favorite historical period to study? That is very difficult because it does kind of depend on the situation and on what category I'm studying. Is it like more social history or clothing? But generally, I am not really interested in anything after the 60s. I find a lot of fashion stuff, particularly in the 1940s, very interesting because of like how the war impacted things, and also in the 1910s because of World War I. But then I'm also very interested in the Victorian era and kind of like, I'm really interested in the 1860s actually because Alice in Wonderland, it always comes back to Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland takes place in the 1860s because that's when it was written. A lot of famous stories and movies and stuff take place in the 1860s, and 1860s style is quite gorgeous, so I find all that stuff very interesting. So I can't really say one particular period, but mostly the 40s and 50s, generally speaking. I'm almost done. This last pant leg, just finishing hemming it. Alright, I have a skirt here that needs the hem to be fixed because some stitches have torn, so I'm going to start working on that. Next question is, how long have you been making your own clothing? That time span changes depending on whether I was making my own clothing successfully or not. I have been trying to make my own clothing since I was like 9 years old. However, most of the time I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, so there was incredibly horrible projects a lot of the time. How long have I been making like wearable good clothes? I would say probably like 3 years is when I've been making like my best clothes so far. This year I do believe I've gotten quite a bit better though. I've started to learn a few more methods that I did not realize were as important before. So technically, I've been trying to make my own clothes for 8 years. So to fix this hem, it's basically just like a folded over hem. And I'm just tacking it down in a few spots because I don't really want my stitches to be visible from the outside too much. Next question is, what is your favorite type of weather? Well, to preface, my sort of favorite seasonal time is late winter, early springish kind of time. So I really like when it's like sunny and flowers are starting to bloom, but the air is still like really crisp and has that kind of coldness to it, so it's like still kind of wearing a coat weather, but it's starting to get a tiny bit warmer. I really love that. Speaking of weather, we just got some snow yesterday, which was really exciting. It was the first snow of the season. It is already melting away very fast, which is sad, but it did snow quite a lot, maybe like 8 inches or something. So I'm hoping that while there actually still is snow on the ground and everything, it'll get a little colder so it will refreeze, because it is currently December 22nd and I really would love to have a white Christmas. That would be great. Yeah, this skirt, it's not made particularly nicely. I actually didn't make this skirt, I got it from the thrift store, but whoever made this made some interesting choices. Like, do you just see what's happening here? Like, it's all fraying, but there's also like binding here, but the binding isn't actually like there for any reason. It's not doing anything. So that's weird. I don't know what that's about. Now the next question is favorite elven name, question mark. So I do really like my Elvish name. My Elvish name is Valdala, so I'm very interested in the Elvish language. A while ago I started trying to learn some Elvish, and for my 16th birthday I asked for like the nerdiest thing possible. It was an Elvish language book. So I know quite a bit of Elvish, probably actually more than I know of like other more normal secondary languages. For example, Nin edren esse na Valdala is my Elvish name is Valdala. Nin meret ki is I love you. So you may be wondering, how did I actually learn what my Elvish name is? So I created my Elvish name, and I have a sort of method for doing this. I've done it for a couple of my friends also. So first I look up what the person's actual name in real life means. So my actual name, Miranda, means worthy of admiration, and so I go to this website that's like an Elvish dictionary site, and I find the words that will create the same meaning as the meaning of my actual name. And then I kind of blend the words together to create a name. So Miranda means worthy of admiration, and Valda in Elvish means worthy, and Tatala means admirable. So I mixed together Valda and Tatala and created Valdala. But then I had to go into my Elvish language book so that I could figure out how to make the spelling make sense to get the sound that I wanted. For example, I had to add an extra L and the H at the end to make it actually sound out Valdala. So our next question is, if you could go back to an era for a day, what would you do? That is so difficult to answer, because there's so many different eras that I would think to travel to. I think I would maybe go back to like 1914, so like at the beginning of World War I, that would be kind of interesting. And then I would like to go to probably like a corset shop and buy a corset, buy, I don't know, just like some different old clothes. That way I could bring back some old clothes from when they were brand new right back to the present, and that would be so awesome. It also would be really cool to like go back to the 70s and try and meet the people from Sesame Street. And I know this sounds really, really random. Last night I watched a documentary on Big Bird, like the guy who plays Big Bird in Sesame Street. It was actually such a touching documentary. It literally made me cry a little bit. And so it would be really cool to meet Carol Spinney, who played Big Bird. And it would be cool to meet Jim Henson, who created like the Muppets and Sesame Street and everything, because he's such a cool dude. Carol Spinney, who played Big Bird, played him from 1969 when he was in his early 20s all the way up until he died in 2019. If that isn't commitment to a role, then I don't know what is. So yeah, very different things. Either I would go to the 70s to meet Carol Spinney and Jim Henson, or I would go to the 1910s to buy some cool old antique clothes and learn more about the sewing methods and stuff, and be able to just like go in and walk into a corset shop. That would be really cool. Please tell me your own answers to these questions in the comments, because I would love to know what eras and stuff you guys would travel to if you could. Next question is, who's your favorite author? In all honesty, I do not read very much. Now the reason for that is I am an incredibly picky reader. I like very few books. It's difficult for me to motivate myself to read. However, favorite author, I'm going to say Tolkien, because Lord of the Rings is my favorite book. I don't know, Middle-earth is awesome, Tolkien is awesome. There's also a movie called Tolkien that's like a biography of his life, and it's incredibly interesting, so I'm gonna go with Tolkien. Alright, I finished up this skirt, and I think I'm done with sewing for now, so I'm just gonna answer this last question. What local thrift shops do you frequent for materials? Possible video guide for thrifting? That would actually be a very interesting idea. I am very fortunate to have 3 thrift stores in my walking vicinity. It's incredibly convenient. So most of the time for fabric, I go into like the sort of bedding and textiles section, and I look for curtains, but most usually sheets. And a lot of thrift stores do actually have like a legitimate fabric section. I am usually much more fond of bed sheets over like actual fabric in the fabric section. The reason for that is because bed sheets have tags on them unless someone's cut them off, but they usually don't. So on bed sheets you can actually check the fiber content, which is incredibly useful because I like to gravitate towards natural fibers almost always. So yeah, I would definitely consider doing a thrifting guide for fabric and sewing materials. You guys let me know in the comments if you would also be interested in that. Alrighty, so in this video I have fixed this skirt, this pleated skirt, which I haven't gotten to wear for a while, so I'm excited to wear that again. And these pants, my one and only pair of pants. And honestly, I'm just too lazy to alter this skirt right now, so I'm gonna do that later. So I hope some of these questions helped you guys get to know me a little better. I hope they were interesting for you. Maybe you did some clothing altering or mending while you watched it. Merry late Christmas, because when you're seeing this, it is definitely after Christmas. So that would be it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment, rate, subscribe, and all that jazz. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Why is this being so weird?